Welcome to Unicate Talks, where food science, public health, and professional learning come together to support clear understanding and evidence-based practice. Today's episode is designed as a structured learning session. We are exploring nitrates and nitrites. Not just what they are, but why they exist in food, how the body processes them, how safety is assessed, and how regulators decide what is safe for the population. This episode is based on UK food safety science and has been developed with the consultation of Dr. Watkis, now a chartered scientist, whose expertise supports the scientific accuracy of today's discussion. Let's begin with the foundations. Nitrates and nitrites are chemical compounds made from nitrogen and oxygen. They occur naturally in the environment and are part of the nitrogen cycle that supports plant growth. Because plants absorb nitrates from soil and water, nitrates are naturally present in many foods. In fact, the largest source of nitrates in the average diet is vegetables. Leafy green vegetables such as spinach, lettuce, rocket, and beetroot tend to contain the highest levels. This is important because it tells us immediately that nitrates are not unusual, artificial, or automatically harmful. Nitrites are closely related compounds, but they are usually present at much lower levels in fresh foods. They can form when nitrates are converted by bacteria, either during food processing, storage, or inside the human body. Now let's look at why nitrates and nitrites are added to certain foods. Nitrites are used as food additives in some processed and cured meats, including bacon, ham, and some sausages. Their primary purpose is food safety. Nitrites help prevent the growth of dangerous bacteria, particularly the bacteria that cause botulism. Botulism is a rare but extremely serious illness that can be fatal even in very small amounts. Nitrites also help preserve the familiar color and flavor of cured meats. Without them, these foods would spoil more quickly and appear gray rather than pink. Because nitrates and nitrites offer both benefits and potential risks, their use is tightly regulated. They are only permitted in specific foods and at carefully controlled levels. Once nitrates and nitrites are consumed, the body begins to process them. Some nitrates are converted into nitrites in the mouth and stomach. From there, nitrites can follow different pathways depending on conditions inside the body. Under certain conditions, nitrites can react with proteins to form compounds called nitrosamines. Some nitrosamines have been shown in laboratory studies to increase cancer risk. This is where much of the concern around processed meats originates. However, nitrosamine formation is not inevitable. It depends on several factors. High cooking temperatures, such as frying or grilling processed meats until heavily browned, can increase nitrosamine formation. Stomach acidity also plays a role. At the same time, other compounds in food can reduce this risk. Vitamin C and other antioxidants, commonly found in fruits and vegetables, can inhibit nitrosamine formation. This is why nitrates from vegetables are treated differently from nitrites added to processed meats. Vegetables naturally contain protective compounds that alter how nitrates behave in the body. In fact, dietary nitrates from vegetables have been associated with benefits such as improved blood vessel function and blood pressure regulation. Once again, source and context matter. Now let's look at how safety is assessed. Food safety authorities use a concept known as acceptable daily intake, or ADI. The ADI is the amount of a substance that can be consumed every day over a lifetime without appreciable health risk. ADI values for nitrates and nitrites are set by expert scientific committees after reviewing toxicological evidence and dietary exposure data. Large safety margins are built into these values to protect public health. Exposure is assessed across the whole diet, not from single foods in isolation. For most people, nitrate intake comes mainly from vegetables, while nitrite exposure comes from processed meats and internal conversion in the body. Most adults remain within safe intake levels. However, some groups require closer consideration. Infants and young children are considered higher risk groups because of their lower body weight and developing digestive systems. Certain foods, if eaten in large amounts, can contribute more significantly to their overall exposure. This is why specific guidance exists for infant and young child diets, and why regulators carefully assess these populations. Food safety assessments are not static. Scientific evidence is continually reviewed. As new data emerges, exposure estimates and safety limits are reassessed and updated where necessary. This ongoing review process is central to modern food regulation. So what does this mean in practice? It does not mean avoiding vegetables. Vegetables remain essential to a healthy diet. It does not mean panic around processed meats. It means moderation, informed preparation, and balance. Limiting frequent consumption, avoiding high-temperature charring, and eating a varied diet rich in plant foods all help manage risk. For learners and professionals, nitrates and nitrites provide a clear example of how chemistry, biology, regulation, and public health intersect in everyday food choices. They also show that food safety decisions are about evidence and proportion, not fear. Thank you for listening to Unicate Talks. And a special thank you to Dr. Watkis for his expert insight and guidance in shaping today's episode. This podcast was made with the consultation of Chartered Scientist Dr. Alando Watkis.